Okay, in all these films, the director said that the part of Curly's wife had to be larger because she was the motivating factor for the whole thing. Do you think that's appropriate or not? To enlarge her role, to make her more significant, to make her the motivating factor? Was it her fault that all of this happened?
I honestly don't think so, because it could have been any woman, not just, Curly's wife. Anyone who was paying that much attention to Lenny would have gotten hit by the same, I don't want to say curse, that sounds weird, but the same problem of him becoming fascinated with her.
Okay. Any others? Anybody else's response to that? Because Steinbeck in manuscript called it something that happened. Okay, so it was really, that makes it nobody's fault. Something that happened, there's just an inevitability to it because Lenny is a challenged individual living in a world where stuff happens. Okay, so then it's not Curly's wife's fault at all. Jennifer.
No, I don't, except for maybe movie visual purposes of having a pretty woman in the movie. I don't see the importance or necessity of having Curly's wife have a bigger role. To me, the story is about it's George and Lenny. It's a friendship. She just happens to be there, happens to be a part of the plot. I don't think her role needed to be bigger. Okay. In fact, I always forget about her in the movie versions. I mean, when I think back to the movie versions, I never think of those scenes.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Okay. I had nothing to say, but I do feel that her role shouldn't have been as large because it is more about their friendship and their dynamics between the two men, and hers was just kind of a catalyst, and it probably needed something that just needed to be done.
Do you think she's as lonely as they are?
She's definitely as lonely as they are. That's why she kind of goes out to the other men, though, to find the affection that she's not really getting.
Do you look at her as a tart?
As someone that needs affection. As someone that needs affection, really. She's lonely, and she's surrounded by other men, and her husband's off at other places. She's just they're all lonely, in a sense. They're all solo individuals, and she's just kind of an extension of that.
Okay, good. Okay. Anybody else on Curly's wife? Why do the men call her such terrible names at the beginning? Rat bait, a tart, and they so resent her coming to the bunkhouse? How come?
I feel like they might succumb to their own desire to be. They might actually be seduced by her, and so they're afraid of her and the potential that she holds, and so they push her off and say, "Oh no, she's a tart. We don't need to involve ourselves with her." So they put up that shield as like a defense mechanism against actually being seduced.
Okay, good. What happens when you call somebody a name?
It others them.
It others them. I like that.
Well, you can be lonely and still be a tart. I mean, if she sleeps around, she can still feel lonely because she doesn't have any support.
She wasn't a tart. Okay.
Hey, given that she's always, literally every scene that you see her in, she's trying to hit on someone.
Curly doesn't give a damn about her. He's mean to everybody, and I mean, she has nobody to talk to. She's just trying to have a conversation. And I mean, she's a girl. She does want to look pretty. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Just because she wants to look pretty doesn't mean she's a tart. And all these guys are being mean to her because, yeah, they're afraid that she's gonna, she's gonna seduce them and they're gonna get in trouble. But that doesn't mean that she's a tart.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that she's helping her case.
Well, she's kind of trapped, though.
Exactly.
She's trapped. She even explains that she had all these dreams. She's going to go to Hollywood, become someone, but
she's so naive.
She is naive.
I mean, she says, oh, he was going to take me to the pictures and make me a star. And then the whole time I was thinking he was going to take you behind the bar and rape you and throw you away. And I don't know if she got a better bargain with marrying Curly.
Okay, good point. Tara, what were you going to say?
Well, you mentioned entrapment, and I mean, I don't think Steinbeck necessarily, put the woman in there to put a woman's perspective, but this woman and she feels trapped too. She doesn't get to do what she planned to do. She wanted to go and be in the movies and live this big life, but she's stuck in this little area, looking for attention. She's desperate for attention, and that makes her a little bit I mean, it makes her desperate. Well, yeah, but they never really indicate that she's actually sleeping around. Sure, she might if she was given the opportunity, but she's lonely and wants to talk to people. And they call her a tart, but she says something in the book about how they're all so afraid of each other. And I mean, I think that's right. They think that they're supposed to condemn her for her behavior because they're afraid of what everybody else will think. So.
Why did you say that Steinbeck wouldn't have put her in the book for a woman's perspective?
I don't know if I'm not saying that he didn't, but I'm not sure if that was his intention. But I mean, for me, it put a character in the book that I could identify with a little bit more than, say, these men who are working, because it's a woman that, I mean, she wants people to pay attention to her. She wants attention, and she wants.
That's an interesting idea. What if she weren't in the book? I mean, does it need a woman in the book? What if the book is all men? It is, after all, a ranch. You don't really need her for the plot. You could simply have George and Lenny wander into a ranch, and they're all ranch hands, and they still have their dream. That's intact. They still have, that articulated. They're still going to work. Lenny probably would have gotten in trouble in some other way. So is she necessary?
No, she isn't.
I think she is.
I mean, yes, she is, because because she ruined it for Lenny and George. She ruined it for them because Lenny cannot control himself. He'll kill. He's bound to do other stuff. So she blew it for him. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, so she's got to be there. Anybody else?
Well,
No, go ahead.
Stereo.
Oh no, I was just going to make a little comment that by her presence on the ranch, she highlights or shows what they don't have, what the men don't have a woman. They're lacking something, a woman, someone to be with, that kind of rootedness. But Curly does have her, and he's not any more happier for it. So.
And indeed, he doesn't deserve her with the Vaseline.
Vaseline glove.
Okay.
Anything for her.
Okay, yeah, she has nobody to talk to, and I think that sense that when the wonderful interaction between Lenny and Curly's wife in the barn is she indicates she needs somebody to listen to her. So when she goes, all the men converse together throughout the novel, but when she goes into the barn, it's the first time she's had somebody listen to her. And so that conversation between Lenny and Curly's wife, which starts on page 85, what's the matter with me? She cried. Ain't I got a right to talk to nobody? What do they think I am anyways? You're a nice guy. I don't know why I can't talk to you. I ain't doing no harm to you. Well, George says you'll get us in a mess. Ah, nuts, she said. What kind of harm am I going to do to you? Seems like none of them cares how I gotta live. I tell you, I ain't used to living like that. Like this. I could have made something of myself. Maybe I will yet. Okay, I could have made something. It sounds like I could have been a contender, but I mean, really, she needed to have a different scope for her activity. So she's just as lonely. This is the first time she's able to express it, because up to this point, she's been an abstraction. She's been what the men call her, which is the rat bait and the tramp, and they look at her like that because that, is others her, as you were saying. So, but to have her speak, suddenly she seems real. Of course, then she dies right after that. But I mean, she has this momentary sort of flame of reality that she is a person who has the same sort of yearnings that everybody does in the book. Okay, so I think the yearnings cross gender lines, they cross racial lines, they cross lines of disability. I mean, everybody in the book has some sort of if you want to say crippling effect of being alone, what it feels like to be alone. But the dream makes everybody cohere. She likes it too. And it brings everybody together, the sense that we could have something else. We could have home, we could have domesticity, we could have peace, we could have something to nurture, we could have somebody to talk to. All of those things bring everybody together.